Shalom and a joyful Rosh Hashanah to all who have gathered here today. As we enter into this new year, our hearts are filled with gratitude for the blessings of life, community, and the opportunities that lie before us. Yet, as we contemplate the future, we are also called upon to confront the rapid advancements in artificial intelligence, a force that both promises great blessings and poses profound threats. Today, we embark on a journey through the lens of Jewish tradition to explore the intricate interplay between AI and faith. We shall delve into the potential blessings that AI brings, from medical breakthroughs to increased connectivity, while also acknowledging the existential threat it poses, such as the erosion of privacy and the displacement of human labor. As we grapple with these complexities, let us draw upon the timeless wisdom of our Jewish heritage to guide our moral compass and chart a path that aligns the transformative power of AI with our deeply held values, ensuring that we use this power responsibly and compassionately. Meh. As you may have noticed, this is not how I usually begin my high holiday sermons. At least I hope you noticed. I like to start with something personal or pop cultural, creating images with words that draw you in with an oratorical hook. This introduction is passable, outlining the main themes and parts of a decent message. And that's because, as I'm sure you've guessed by now, it was written by Rabbi ChatGPT. Or with a Jewish inflection, Rav Chat Gimel Pei Tet. The chatster came up with this intro instantaneously and impressively, but it clearly lacks the verve, the flourish, the je ne sais quoi, or dare I say, the soul of a well-crafted message. So my job security seems to be intact, at least for the moment. Like all technological innovations throughout human history, AI has been met with a mix of excitement and anxiety, portents of doom, and visions of utopia. Some say it's a game changer on par with fire, the wheel, the printing press, and the iPhone, that Swiss Army knife of modern need that puts the world, our histories, and our identities in our pockets. Others foresee an apocalyptic threat akin to the plague, nuclear war, the climate crisis, and the iPhone, our obsession-turned appendage, distracting us into time sucks of crushing candy, TMI on the lives of our friends, and impulse purchases. Depending on how it's used, any technology can be both a bane and a blessing. So what is AI? Basically, it's the capacity for a machine to perform functions we associate with the human mind: reasoning, learning, engagement with the environment, and even creativity. It plumbs troves of online data using algorithms to detect patterns and make predictions. And in its most advanced form, it is adaptive, rooted in a complex, human-like neural network. The AI evangelists promise the ability to better understand and cure disease, an unlocking of human intellectual potential, and the fulfillment of the ultimate promise of all technologies, the elimination of drudgery, and the liberation of time for more enriching pursuits. These utopians even see a balm for loneliness, offering patient, empathetic connection for the most isolated. On the other hand, the Cassandras describe a dystopian hellscape we've seen in sci-fi films like The Terminator, in which the machines soon surpass us, decide that we are more an obstacle than a partner in bringing about the ideal world from their virtual vantage point, and destroy us with the weapons of our own design. What is most chilling is that many of AI's creators are already sounding the alarm, some even estimating that there is a 10% possibility that AI will lead to the extinction of the human race. In Vegas, those may be reasonable odds. In the course of civilization, that's too close a margin for error. Many have prescribed remedies that can be implemented while the Pandora's box is still barely ajar, from a 6-month moratorium on development to the creation of something akin to the Atomic Energy Commission that regulates nuclear proliferation. Essentially, we hope to learn from our mistakes with biotech, the internet, and social media. But this time, will allow our ethics to catch up to our know-how before consequences trump caution. There are also concerns about the inevitable profit motive as priority, having learned the hard way that the invisible hand of the market lacks a moral compass pointing to something other than the bottom line. And of course, there are geopolitical factors to consider as we worry about a Chinese authoritarian regime eager to wield global influence. In many ways, the AI contest is an update of the 40s pursuit of the bomb, the 60s Soviet space race, and the ongoing expansion of nuclear nations. Same script, different players. But what is truly frightening is that those creating these systems don't fully understand how and why they work. AI is a black box, a virtual ghost in the machine. The AI coders behind the curtain know what goes in, and they see what comes out, but they kind of don't know how the cyber sausage is made. And so it's not surprising that even the most science-minded tech titans are left to resort to the language of metaphor and magic, the spiritual and the supernatural, likening their creation to the dawn of a new life form. Many of its creators are cautious, but still compulsive about forging ahead despite the warnings. When pushed to say why they feel compelled to plow on, they say it's because they sense a seismic shift, the emergence of something distinct and unprecedented, an inflection point for humanity that is unlike anything we've experienced before, an evolution in how we define thought and consciousness, and thus how we define what it is to be alive. But perhaps the reason why this tech is different than all other techs is that it has pushed us to ask some basic questions about ourselves and our nature, the essence of what it is to be human, and perhaps what it means to possess a soul. Mark Twain classically quipped that man was created in the image of God and man returned the favor. Some see our concerted efforts to bring AI fully into being as our desire to be godlike creators, down to the notion that, as in the book of Genesis, our creatures will possess the power to recreate themselves. And so, while others bring the language of philosophy, neuroscience, ethics, and art to this challenge, I obviously think my wheelhouse of faith has much to say about this undiscovered country on humanity's charted course, one in which the metaphors, symbols, and stories of the Spirit are relevant and perhaps even required to meet this moment. What Judaism and other faith traditions offer is less a way to put the genie back in the bottle, as futile as that would be, and more a way to provide insight as to how to live and thrive with the genie already swirling in our midst. Our tradition provides many inspiring insights, which speak to the root of our challenge with technology. First amongst them, the need to put matters of mind and spirit over our obsession with the material world. Since its beginnings, Judaism commanded a radical departure from the pagan world of idolatry that invested nature or stone structures or rulers with a divine power compelling divine service. It's not that we Jews reject the material world with its appetites, comforts, and temptations, conceding to them only as necessary evils in the ways other faith traditions do. Rather, we take to heart Henry David Thoreau's counsel not to allow ourselves to become the tools of our tools. We should use the elements of the physical world as a means toward achieving goodness, holiness, and blessing, and not as a limited, shallow ends in themselves. The tales of the Torah abound with ancient insights into the proper role of the physical world in relation to the world of ideals, of stone versus soul, and of the need to invest time and thought into the best use of the works of our hands. Adam and Eve's rebellion at Eden's fateful tree was in pursuit of a fruity knowledge which, as the snake insisted, would make them godlike. The clothing-challenged couple are cast out as punishment for taking a short-sighted shortcut, pursuing something worthy, but doing it in the wrong way, choosing an apple's bite of information over the life experience necessary for true wisdom. The builders at Babel's tower thought their joint effort would elevate them to the heavens and thus ensure their legend and immortality. God spread them over the earth as intended from the beginning, preferring the bucolic benefits of tilling the soil over the urban urges to raise structures. God created us to work with nature rather than seeking to conquer it. And Pharaoh's pyramid project was the ultimate leveraging of narcissism to divinity, as the most advanced construction tech of the time emerged from abject slavery and human subjugation. The Israelites were freed as much from a state of mind and being as from the shackles of servitude. Our people have learned through hard and holy experience not to allow ourselves to become too enamored of what we create, too believing in the hype of fleeting accomplishment. True meeting with the transcendent happens away from impersonal cities and arrogant rulers obsessed with the technology of the day. It is only in the wilderness, the wildness of nature in its most distilled form, that we can clearly contemplate who we are, what we owe to others, and the ultimate meaning and purpose of it all. The most powerful symbol and conduit of this uniquely Jewish perspective is Shabbat, the Sabbath. Yes, in its most narrowly defined observance, it's the 24 hours at the end of the week that we're experiencing here today. But perhaps even more powerfully, we can apply the concept of Shabbat throughout our weeks and our lives, donning a Sabbath scope through which we see the world and our place in it. The most eloquent expositor of this ethos was Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who taught, quote, "The meaning of the Sabbath is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week we live under the tyranny of things of space. On the Sabbath, we try to become attuned to holiness and time. It is a day on which we are called upon to share in what is eternal in time, to turn from the results of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to creation of the world." Celebrating time rather than space. It is both a challenge and a treasure, inspiring us to find meaning in abstractions like time or honor or sacrifice or goodness, and seeing them as more vital than the tangible things that are more easily within our reach. It complements well our vision of a God who is immanent and present in our lives, yet eludes our grasp. God invites us to a higher kind of relationship, one that defies the way we most often relate to the world. It is an experience that is as trying as it is authentic, because we Jews would rather endure a genuine struggle with uncertainty than delude ourselves with accessible, limited, and eventually outdated fantasies. So how do we use this Sabbath scope in navigating our brave new world of AI? The answer lies in the word Shabbat itself. The first lesson of the Sabbath comes from its core meaning, to stop, to cease those workaday exchanges, negotiations, and necessities of modern life to which we mortgage the bulk of our time. We must learn to disconnect from the what of basic existence to make room for the why of real living. The second lesson of Shabbat is to reflect upon and embrace our deepest needs and most enduring bonds with others, those essential aspects of our lives to which we give short shrift during the rest of the week. But they are the most defining qualities of our humanity. The gentle, attentive stroll through pathways we usually careen through carelessly and sightlessly. The undistracted conversation with someone we love that affirms our presence for them and their importance to us. Immersing ourselves in art or literature or sacred wisdom that evokes the kind of self-reflection that becomes the lodestone of our lives, guiding us and inspiring us to turn outward in service to others. The Sabbath scope compels us to carve out time, whether an hour a day or a day a week, to disconnect from the technology that is and will become even more all-consuming and all-encompassing of every aspect of our lives. And we do this not as Amish Luddites or Hermetic hermits, but as liberators of our humanity, champions of our very souls, gifting ourselves an indispensable release as iconic and indelible as our redemption from Egyptian bondage. And so, we must use this critical moment in the course of our civilization to draw a line in the sand, to reclaim what is most important in our lives, to zealously take hold of real life and real living, even more than the most intoxicating simulation. For if we don't reaffirm the distinction between who we are and what we've created, now, while we still can discern the difference, no map or compass or GPS will be able to guide us home. In so many ways, the need for the Sabbath day, and more significantly, the Sabbath scope throughout our lives, is far more meaningful now than it has ever been. Perhaps the Sabbath was created for just this moment in human history, when the boundaries between the quality of our humanity and the quantities of the worldly have never been more permeable or more uncertain. Believe it or not, I am an early adopter of most tech and need no convincing to appreciate its boons and blessings in empowering us to rise above eking out an existence to embrace a richer, fuller quality of life. And I hope, dare I say, I pray, that the best and highest uses of AI will continue to lift us in our evolving journey from hunting the savannas to that day of days when we will secure the dignity, comfort, and potential of all of God's children. But I also know the perils of unchecked progress when we have exalted what we could do over what we should do. And I'm worried that in ceding so much to the means of how we live, we've forgotten our reasons for living. Now more than ever, the echoes of God's still small voice resound through the millennia, calling us back to the center of our being and the heart of the world. Cindy and I recently celebrated our 30th anniversary with a hiking trip to the Banff area of Alberta. We love spending the day outdoors, but not so much the night intense. 40 years of camping in the outback for our ancestors was enough for any Jew. Day hikes are great if followed by a delicious dinner, a glass of wine, and soft pillows to lull us into dreamland. In addition to the healing of body and mind that comes from an immersion in backcountry treks, the natural wonders of the landscape, especially around the 10 Peaks and Moraine Lake area, truly defy description. The water that ranges in color from turquoise to aqua to blue, against the backdrop of sharply ascending cliffs with crags that nestle glacial frosting, which seems to cascade in slow motion down the channels along the rock face of the mountain. The scene is beyond awe-inspiring. In fact, it is so incomprehensible as to suggest, in our current era of a reality so widely mediated by technology, that a cutting-edge AI program created the image in response to the prompt, "Show me the most stunning natural vista ever." But despite the disbelief in beholding something this mind-blowingly spectacular, it is a stark reminder that, as I said in a Facebook post from the time, this is not AI conjured, it is God created. It is a potent reminder that however far our technology progresses in creating even the most immersive reality, the sweetly sung lyrics of Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell still ring true. Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. My family's cringing. May this coming year, a year that portends dramatic change and indelible transformation, perhaps as never before, bring with it greater insight, deeper wisdom, and an anchoring in the values that bind every soul that has ever lived to every soul that is yet to be. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will, and let us say, Amen.